Hi, everybody. We're here today with David Neiman, and he is the purveyor of Haus fine sausages. How are you doing today, David?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for talking to us today. We really appreciate it. Now, David, can you tell us a bit about your background and what inspired you to become a sausage maker?
In terms of my family background, kind of a mishmash of Western European, but really it's more my restaurant and food background that kind of pushed me in this direction. I was in the restaurant industry for over 30 years, which is what I was doing until kind of COVID drew a halt to that. And I had some ideas for a sausage business, not exactly in this form over the last little while, but then when I had more to do with my time, shall we say, I decided to take a stab at it and started putting some of my flavors out on social media groups and picked up a following. So I just kind of kept going with that, and then by the time COVID loosened up to the point where restaurants were opening again, they said, "Do you want your job back?" And I said, "I'm going to see where this goes."
Okay.
Kind of has been the process.
Well, that's exciting. Now, what do you enjoy most about it?
I enjoy creating flavors. It's, I've said a number of times that sausage being, salty pork or salty chicken, it's a nice palette to paint a painting on. So you can do a lot of things with it. You can apply a lot of different spice blends and flavors. And then, honestly, my favorite thing is making people, this sounds really schmaltzy, but making people happy with good food is kind of my love language, as my wife likes to say. So whenever I get feedback from people where they say, "Oh, it was so amazing," or "My kid really loved it," they cleaned their plate, that's kind of the thing that I take the most from it. That's the most rewarding part.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
So we actually have been eating David's sausages at our house since the beginning.
Day one.
And so we're really excited to be here and look forward to you enjoying that as well. Now, how do you source your ingredients, and what's the quality of the ingredients? Why are they important to you?
Yeah, we use only Ontario meat for all of our products, whether that's the pork, chicken, beef, whatnot, and most of that comes from meat suppliers at the moment. Just in terms of the volume, I do want to start working direct with farmers, so I can get more of a sort of a farm to fork approach.
Yeah.
It's kind of a question of volume more than anything else. They don't really talk to you until you order a certain threshold. So once I get to that point, we'll start getting a little more direct relationships, and we can maybe start working with some heritage breeds and whatnot.
That would be awesome. And what about your herbs, spices, the vegetables, things like that they put in there?
Most of those, again, come from, it's not very sexy, most of those come from suppliers that restaurant and food supplier around Toronto. And again, we try to always use the best and most premium ingredients that we can find that bring out the most flavor and really do the best to represent sort of the flavor combinations that we're trying to achieve.
And that's not always the case with sausage. So
No.
this is a few steps above what you would normally get, I would say.
And I'm not trying to throw shade, but a lot of the sausages that you see around in grocery stores are made with pre-mixed packets of spice that I've seen at supply shops myself.
Okay.
Whereas we're blending everything individually and then tweaking things by the gram to make sure that they're exactly the way that we want them to be. Everything's made from scratch. So
That's awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about some of your specialty sausages and why they're unique?
Yeah,
we have ones,
favorite's a tough one. I do have favorites, obviously. They're all my babies, but there's certain ones that are a little more dear to me. We have 38 flavors. A lot of them, I would say, probably in the range of 2/3 are derived from very traditional recipes from around the world, because that's one of the cool things about sausage is that it is very much a world food.
Yep.
So you can hardly go anywhere on earth where there isn't some local recipe or preparation or style of doing things. So a lot of the time it'll be me saying, okay, there's this really famous and or important style of sausage from X country, and I want to make that. How can we make an elevated version of that will still stay true to the original recipe, so that with people in this very, very multicultural, multi-ethnic city, when they try it, they go, "Oh yes, that does taste like it's supposed to taste." The other third are sort of original creations, generally made from whole cloth. And sometimes they're just me going, "Hey, what would be good? Mushroom and Swiss and sun-dried tomato. That's a no-brainer." And then other times it's me, maybe, we have one that called Hulk Fingers, which is just this bright green sausage.
Yes, it is.
And it's a kind of a question of how much vegetables can I pack in this before it stops sticking together like sausage? Well, what things can I use and what flavors can I use? So it's experimentation and just kind of instinct some of the time.
Yeah, and a lot of them are kid friendly, not too spicy and stuff like that. So it's really good from that perspective.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. And where do you get your inspiration for your bespoke recipes?
I've been in the kitchen since I was quite young. I come from a family where most stuff, if not all of it, was made from scratch. Not a lot of processed foods. And then honestly, being in the restaurant industry for as long as I was, kind of took that to the next level where, I mean, I started off in the kitchen, but ended up spending a lot of my time sort of in the front of house, being a waiter or bartender, but I was still constantly talking to the chefs. And I had the privilege of working with some absolutely amazing chefs in Toronto.
Yeah.
And learning from them and asking them questions whenever they had a spare moment to be nagged by me about this ingredient or that preparation. So, you know, I was able to take that background and then kind of translate it. As I said, you know, when you've got salty pork and salty chicken, it's a nice palette to paint on. So
well, those are great resources too to have that you can go and tap into, right?
100%.
Oh, geez. So, what are your favorite ways to cook your sausage?
I mean, generally speaking, I get this question a lot. Generally speaking, the main thing you want to remember is low heat. High heat is kind of the enemy of sausage because they will tend to swell too quickly, break the casings, and you lose texture that way. So, barbecue with low heat or oven with low heat are kind of my two go-tos depending on what the weather's like and how brave I am in the middle of the winter. The classic, you know, sort of European way of doing it, which is supposed to be the best, which is often what we do when we grill out at pop-ups and farmers markets and whatnot, is to poach them in advance on a low simmer and then allow them to cool a little bit before you put them on a hot grill. But that does require a little bit of patience because it's sort of a two-step process. And often, if I'm honest, I got kids and we're in a bit of a hurry to get dinner on the table, so I just put it on the barbecue. But low heat.
Low
heat's
heat,
the main
and
thing.
is it direct or indirect on the barbecue?
Yeah, direct is fine. Again, just low heat. I'll preheat the barbecue to get it nice and hot and then turn it all the way to the bottom. And then it still is only like 15 minutes with a bunch of turning.
Okay,
Yeah.
That sounds good. Now, what's your favorite, or do you have an interesting story or a fun fact about sausages that people might not know?
I mean, it depends what your definition of fun fact is. It was one of these things where I wasn't in particular like super passionate about sausage when I first started this out. It was just thought it'd be a cool idea. And then as I learned more and more about it, I learned that there's actually a fair amount of nobility and history to sausage preparation. It is arguably the oldest food preparation in the world. It goes back 4,000 to 5,000 years.
Holy smokes.
And so there's actually a really, really deep, like I said, deep and noble history behind sausage making, which is, I don't know, to me that's kind of fun. Adds a little more sort of, not maybe gravity is overstating it, but it adds a little more, I don't know, importance? I don't know.
So
You know
would
what I
you
mean?
say you're a passionate sausage man now?
I am now. I've converted into a passionate sausage
Moved to
man.
the next level?
Yeah, exactly.
Good for you. Do you have any special promotions coming up or any events that you'd like to tell us about?
Yeah, I mean, we just opened up here at the shop, so we're doing a 15% off for those who are lucky enough to receive one of your fabulous flyers. And we're always doing events and you know festivals around the Toronto area.
Okay.
We do 6 farmers markets, which are at this point starting to come to a close, but we're still popping around town at breweries all the time.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're getting the word out.
We're trying to bring
Getting the
sausage
word
to
out.
the masses.
Okay. And do you have any memorable customer experiences or stories that are kind of out there you might want to share?
I've one that's mildly not safe for work, and that's that I gave a couple packs to a friend of mine who then donated one of their packages to a friend who relayed back to them that it helped them get lucky with a girl that they were trying to woo.
Oh!
And they sent me back this text saying, oh, blah, 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 and they said that it helped them. And I'm like, that's a testimonial. That's an interesting testimonial.
Maybe you should rename that sausage.
Yeah, I'm not sure which flavor it was, actually. Maybe I should delve back in and find out which one they can remember.
Okay, so what is your vision moving forward for your sausage business? What do you see happening?
I want to take over the world.
Do you?
Obviously. No, it was one of these things where we started hyper locally, as you know. We were starting right here in East York and sort of the fringes of Leslieville and Riverdale. And we are now our delivery scope has expanded to the majority of the city of Toronto. We want to expand that past the GTA. This year, all the farmers markets that we did were pretty much in the Toronto area. Next year, I'd like to start doing some of the other GTA areas like Pickering and Coburg and Newmarket, Stouffville, and into the western part of the GTA as well, and get it to all of Ontario at some point in the near future. And
So
then
do you see getting
hopefully-
into the big markets or more boutique-y like Terry's or some of those, the
Yeah,
Summerhill Market? Or
That's the question. So I mean, we've got a retail shop here, but I do want to start reaching out to some of the retail places, sort of on the other side of the city where we're not necessarily in direct competition with them. And I mean, big supermarket chains are hard to get into and fierce competition. So we'll see what that conversation looks like when that conversation happens, if it happens.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah.
So thank you for speaking with us today.
My pleasure.
We really appreciate it. And where can people find you?
Well, we have our storefront here at 423 Donlands Avenue, right at the corner. As I said, we are always around town doing pop-ups at local microbreweries and craft brewers that we collaborate with and are delighted to collaborate with. So if you keep an eye on our Instagram, or we have a newsletter that we send out every week from the website, you can always keep apprised to that. And then there's farmers markets and festivals and
All sorts of things.
All sorts of
Or
things.
you can
We
reach
try to
out
do all the things.
Yeah, which is awesome. And you can reach out to me too.
Yeah.
We are sending a postcard out probably next week or within the next week. Is offering a 15% discount at the shop. All you have to do is bring your card in and you'll get a 15% discount up to a value of a $100 purchase. So thank you so much.